Hello, I'm Richard Fieldhouse, and this is the NASGP podcast, The Art of GP Locuming. And for this episode, we are joined by Dr. Kevin Fernando, who some of you may well be very familiar with at conferences, clinical events, and various podcasts that Kevin hosts. So I thought it'd be really lovely to have Kevin on here. I'm a bit of a fanboy myself. There are certain roads of West Sussex that will forever have the backtrack of Kevin talking to me about various clinical topics as I listen to his podcast on the way to and from work. So, Kevin, welcome to the NESGP
Right.
podcast.
Thanks for the invitation, Richard. Great to be here.
It's really great to have you. So, Kevin, I think what we really like to talk to our guests first about is just about their GP career. What they've been doing since they started their GP training to where they currently are now.
So, yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. I graduated actually July 2000 from Edinburgh Medical School, and initially actually followed a career in hospital medicine, a fairly niche career, certainly specialty back then, medical obstetrics. So I did a medical rotation, did my MRCP exams, and then latterly was a junior labour ward reg. Really enjoyed this, but my wife is also a doctor. She was a rheumatologist on call, general receiving. So actually, we were like passing ships at night. We
Yeah.
hardly saw each other with our hospital rota. So we both made the decision to go into primary care at that point.
Oh, wow. So your decision to kind of do general practice is heavily related to your lifestyle and your
Lifestyle,
relationship.
yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely. So I mean, everything I did, I enjoyed my hospital medicine and the general medical specialties I did. I did a lot of diabetes too, which of course has driven my interest latterly, and all very relevant to primary care, which was great. And back then we had this green card scheme that you might remember, Richard, or maybe it was
No.
a Scottish thing. So green card scheme meant all the attachments I'd done post could be accredited towards GP training. So
Oh, I
actually,
see. Oh,
yeah.
right.
So all my medical and obstetrics roles got accredited, and I went straight into a GP registrar role, as we called
Ah,
it back then. So I was very, very fortunate. And then I suppose no looking back since then, I got my GP CCT. I locumed for a couple of years, but wanted to get established in a partnership quite quickly. And that's where I joined my partnership in North Berwick back in 2009 or thereabouts, I think. And continued that partnership. I was a full-time GP partner, but over the years stepped down to part-time, and then just last year stepped down completely from my partnership to focus on my portfolio role. But really, all along that time, during that time, even back at medical school, I've had a real passion for medical education,
yeah.
to help, of course, help improve the lives of our patients, but also to help make lives a wee bit easier for all our medical colleagues in primary and secondary care too. So that's been a very big part of my entire medical career, both secondary care and then, of course, latterly primary care. And now currently, I have a number of different roles, clinical roles. I'm still working very much clinically in NHS. My wife and I have recently launched our own private GP practice too, just one day a week, and still very heavily involved in medical education and disseminating everything I pick up. Well, there was that very famous quote by Maya Angelou: "When you learn, teach; when you get, give." And that's very much
Oh,
been a mantra of mine. I pride myself on keeping up to date. I'm fortunate to have protected time to keep up to date, because you know what it's like these days, don't you, Richard?
yes.
Every day is a school day, and that rapid evolution of guidance, of research, it makes it very challenging for us all working in primary care. So I mean, I'm fortunate to have protected time to keep up to date in my various medical education roles. As we've met before on several occasions, I love the opportunity to disseminate that knowledge at conferences, podcasts, written articles, a variety of medium.
That's good. So you mentioned you were full-time GP and then you became part-time to cope with your portfolio
Yeah, that's
education
right.
type
Yeah.
type roles. And I've met you at a lot of the Pulse Live conferences, and you're
Yes, yes.
chairing and
Mhm.
giving talks and workshops and things. So, but if someone listening to this is thinking to themselves, well, I'm interested in education, but
Mm,
I've no idea how I should
okay, yeah,
start. How
yeah,
did you start?
yeah.
And what are the sort of practical steps you would advise people to start to take to enter into this portfolio?
And very much stick your head above the parapets, isn't it? I think guys, is my key advice. I mean, how it started for me, like I'm sure, like you, I went to NB Medical Hot Topics and these other Hot Topics courses to keep up to date, and I'd then disseminate my key learnings in our practice meetings. Like many practices, we had lunchtime, CPD meetings, journal club, etc. And then I thought, well, why don't we organize a few sort of local practices to come together in the evening, and I would do little sort of teaching sessions for them. PL. So it started all very, quite very small, and then progressed to sort of larger PLTs. But then I suppose my big opportunity, and this is where I did stick my head above the parapets, after years of going to these NB medical courses with my wife, and it was great to catch up with all colleagues. Opportunity came up. They advertised for a new presenter, so I just thought, okay, let's go for it. My wife actually was very keen, encouraged me to do it, and I was fortunate to land the role, and that was a big sort of stepping stone for me in doing more sort of wider spread, large scale medical education. So I worked as an NB medical presenter for about 6 years, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And then from there, GP Notebook actually approached me. They'd been familiar with a lot of my work with NB Medical and elsewhere. So I took on a role with a GP Notebook, left NB Medical, which is a big decision. It was a fantastic company to work for. Um, and then, I was with GP Notebook for several years. And then a more global role, I was approached by Medscape Global to have a more sort of global role in medical education. And that's a role I continue with just now. So yeah, my advice would be very much, small steps, baby steps to start, but don't be afraid to put your head above the parapets. And again, as always, my mantra is, in terms of my medical education, is to make lives easier for my colleagues in primary care, but ultimately to help improve the lives of our patients. So that's really how I structure my teaching. Very practical, case-based teaching, relevant to us all. Top tips, pitfalls to avoid. These are phrases you've probably heard me say before in these podcasts you've been listening to. And that seems to have worked for me over the years. And alongside this, as I said, I've had this very long-standing interest in diabetes. So I've been very fortunate to get to a lot of the national and international conferences. I've done a number of specialty diabetes roles over the years. And actually, next month, I'm going to be starting a specialty doctor role at the local hospital in diabetes as part of my portfolio career as well, to bridge that gap between primary and secondary
Yeah.
care. So,
Uh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
has your interest in education, particularly in diabetes, has that helped get you this role in secondary care, this new
Oh, no,
role?
without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've held various sort of diabetes or clinical lead roles, etc., locally anyway. So
Mm.
I knew a lot of my secondary care colleagues pretty well, but this opportunity just arose recently, and so I'm going to take that on. And of course, diabetes is a big part of our work in everyday primary care,
Sure,
isn't it?
sure.
And again, another area where there's been very rapid evolution of research and guidelines, new therapies. So very challenging these days, isn't it, to individualize diabetes treatment, match that therapy to that individual patient. So yeah, I just want to help, narrow that gap, if you like, between primary and secondary care,
Yeah,
and promote that more joined up approach to not just the management of diabetes, but really all long-term, conditions.
yeah.
Meh,
Kevin, it's really interesting because you really have changed tack quite a not quite a you've the changes in tack you've taken have been quite significant. You were medical obstetrics,
Yeah,
and then for
yeah,
family
yeah,
lifestyle reasons, you changed to general practice. That's a big step.
big step,
And
yeah,
then the old NB medical, and then suddenly changing and changing.
yeah.
Is it? Do you get a kick out of that,
Yeah,
or is it
absolutely.
is it quite hard to do?
Yeah, well, no, there's no doubt it's presented its challenges, but I like pushing. I've always pushed myself, out of my comfort zones. Even that first ND medical course, I still remember. It was up in Aberdeen, actually, my first ever hot topics course, and there was I don't know, couple of hundred people, I think, and walking out, I still remember thinking, "Oh, what have I done now? what have I, why have I put myself?" But it was fantastic. I mean, of course, it's not all entirely altruistic. I mean, you do get a kick out of being out there on the stage, and I really enjoyed it. And again, after years of having been a delegate at NB medical courses, it was really lovely to have the opportunity to
Yes,
kind in
yeah.
part of all the stuff I'd learned. And I mean, many of your listeners will know Simon Curtis over the years, a legend who sort of co-founded NB Medical. It was great to work alongside him. I learned a lot from him,
Yes.
and I suppose that's a key thing. All these key roles I've had some great mentors who really pushed me as well, and that's why I've continued to thrive and continue to take on new and sort of different roles to push myself. So yeah, I suppose I do get a kick out of it. But alongside that, like, life, I'm married, as I said, I have four children actually, so that's a challenge in its own right. My wife's also a GP, and she's expanding her own portfolio career now, dermatology alongside her GP work. So it makes for a busy life, but work hard, play hard, yeah?
Exactly. And then speaking, you mentioned your wife a few times, and I've had the pleasure of meeting your wife on multiple occasions. When in the SGP we've been on
Yeah.
to Pulse Live with our stand, and
That's right,
you've
yeah, I
been there
remember,
talking,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
your wife's been there talking. But your wife also her business. She also does these beautifully
Medical bags,
designed
yeah, yeah,
vegan
so
medical bikes,
yeah,
but also. What you always stand out are your incredible clothes you wear, because you always wear amazing suits, and they're not just the Marks and Spencers type of suit. These are really eye-catching plaids and tartans and designs. They're very, haven't you got a Christmas one as
I've
well?
got a Christmas.
I saw you at a Christmas one
Yeah.
at some award
I
ceremony,
was
didn't
on
I?
seven,
Yeah.
and Paul said that was just in December when we met, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
That's right.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. But so it you're as you've been talking, it sounds like you've had, and I'm sure it works both ways, incredible support from your
Oh,
family
yeah.
and your wife as well. It sounds like
Absolutely.
you've all got it. It all seems to be quite a nice humming engine there, if that's a
Oh, yeah,
terrible way
yeah.
to
I would
describe it.
I
Maybe it's
don't
not.
know. Yeah, I wouldn't know if I describe it quite a nice humming, I guess.
No, no.
So, but it's no, it's again, we've always been like this, both of us. I suppose that's brought us together, or brought us
Yeah.
together in the first place. I mean, there's no doubt life is hectic, but we're fortunate to have a great nanny to helps us out a lot. And I would hope what Catherine and I do inspires our kids as well to to strive and do the best that they can. But yeah, I suppose we've all, I mean, you're absolutely right though. Many of my friends, relatives look at us and just think we're crazy and all the things all the things we do. But we enjoy it. And at the moment, yeah, we seem to be managing. But you're right though. I mean, this year I turned 50 actually this year, Richard. So I always said when I turned 50, I probably need to just reappraise what I'm doing and try and bring a bit of normality, because I've got to practice what I preach and look after myself as well. But I keep active, and the last few years I've been trying to set myself a big physical activity goal. A couple of years ago, I climbed Kilimanjaro with a friend.
Wow.
And this year I'm doing a big cycle abroad as well, on a 130-kilometer cycle. So I'm trying to set myself some big challenges to keep myself physically fit. Because part of my interest in diabetes actually was stemmed by a desire not to get diabetes myself. Because my dad, I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but brought up in Scotland. And my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at the age of 50, actually. So my goal in life was always not to get type 2 diabetes by the age of 50, which it's looking good so far. I've only got 5 months before I turn 50, and my HbA1c is only 32. So I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
it's
yeah.
doing good. My dad's still with us. He's doing well. Yeah, I've got to practice what I preach and look after myself. So yeah, life is busy, but as I said, my wife and I have both always thrived on having sort of busy lives with a lot of variety, isn't it? I know it's a
Yeah.
cliche, but variety is the spice of life, and that's why it's been great since locumming. it's really allowed me to focus on that variety, that portfolio. I mean, there's no doubt I was a partner for nearly 17 years, so
Mm.
it was a big decision to make. And of course, what I miss the most is that continuity and some of those great relationships I built up over the years. So there's no doubt I still very much miss that. But the additional flexibility now, in terms of doing a number of different roles has been fantastic. Yeah.
And how do you find working as a GP locum fits in with your other portfolio? And how are you finding just life in general, your experience of locuming at the
Yeah,
moment?
no, at the moment, because I suppose I'm locuming. I don't need to locum full time because of my other roles. So I know the locum landscape has been very challenging. But
Mm.
for me, locally where I am east of Edinburgh, it's been there's been plenty of opportunity. I have to be
That's
honest,
good.
for me, which is great alongside my. So I'm locuming on average about a couple of days a week, so two full days a week. Of course, holidays and other times I'm doing more to help out.
Mm.
And it also fits, busy times of year, conference season, I locum less, of course, and that gives me more flexibility to attend conferences and other or deliver educational events. So it's been a very positive move for me. I mean, I hadn't locum for 17 years, so some of the admin side of things I had to get my head round again, pension contributions, etc. But no, it's great, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really just sort of locuming in my sort of locality. So in terms of travel and stuff, it's been very sort of manageable as well. Yeah. Mm.
And what are your plans then going forward at the moment? Again, you seem to be really great one for adding extra roles to your
Yeah, yeah,
portfolio
yeah.
career and changing tech. So
I
what do you think the next 10
I think I
years will
I
hold?
like where I am at the moment, I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest, and coupled with, my impending, 50th birthday, I would like a bit of my global role with Medscape is great. That's something I've been, I didn't move on from NB Medical or GP Book because I didn't enjoy it. It's just that the bigger remit of each of those subsequent roles, but this is a truly global role now, and, a lot of my educational content, my podcasts are going out across the world. See, so I have a lead role for medical education for Medscape Global OUS, outside US. So really, my content's going across the world now, which is great.
No, no, no.
So I'm very happy in that role and plan to stay in this role for well as long as they as long as they want me. GP locuming work, of course, it's going to continue as it is. Very much enjoy that. I absolutely enjoy it, but also need to, of course, put into practice all the stuff I tell you on podcasts and everything. So I enjoy that. And then the private practice my wife and I do, it's never going to be the main part of our work, but we just wanted to sort of better use our skill sets: diabetes, cardiovascular, kidney, metabolic medicine, weight management for me, dermatology, women's health. And, of course, in the current NHS climate, with 10 or 15 minute appointments or less, it's hard to use your full skill set. So that's been an interesting journey for us. And as I said, just one day a week. So that we're going to just see how it goes at the moment. Um, and this diabetes clinic is also a very local thing for me, and which has flexibility. So actually, I like what I'm doing at the moment. My portfolio career, it's good. It's manageable just at the moment. So yeah, I don't foresee any significant changes in the near future.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, good. Well, in terms of educate, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts about the role of AI
Yeah, yeah,
in
really
GP
interesting. Yeah,
education. How
yeah.
do you think things are going to change with that? Or already changing?
No, there's no doubt. I mean, Medscape themselves have their own AI tool, GP Notebook. All of these are looking at introducing AI tools, and I think that. Well, I personally don't think they're a substitute for, of course, good old fashioned clinical experience of speaking to a clinical colleague. But I think as a tool, absolutely very invaluable in terms of medical education and addressing puns and dens. But as with the pitfalls in AI in any context,
Mm.
there is fabrication, isn't there? There are inaccuracies or errors. So I think we need to be very mindful of that when using them, particularly at point of care. I know there's emerging AI tools for point of care and clinical decisions. And I think that we need to be very careful.
Yeah.
In my private practice with my wife, we're using an AI scribe, which has been fantastic experience. And to be honest, it's been a no-brainer. My wife was the one who was quite skeptical, but within a couple of days of using it, she was sold. It was like that film Jerry Maguire. They had her on Hello. But again, it is, we use it just as a scribe. We've got a disclaimer. We've got all the paperwork that we're only using a scribe. It's not going to make any decisions. That will be solely on me and Catherine. So that's how I see the role in education as well. But I think that's where it'll be most valuable in point of care. If you need those quick decisions about an abnormal blood test, what to do, or a dosing of medications in a certain context, in kidney impairment, etc. This is where an AI sort of education tool, I think, can be very 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 helpful. So I think, yeah, like with any of these tools, it is a tool, but it still needs, in my opinion, that very much that human touch, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still do a lot of writing, and I'm unfortunately old school in terms of my writing. I just write it all myself. I know several of my colleagues are increasingly using AI to help, especially social media posts and things like that. I think AI can be incredibly helpful
Mm.
there. I tend to just do all my social media posts myself, but that is something I'm looking into as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And with you, you've been a partner, you've done locuming,
Yeah.
and you're now doing private general practice.
Yeah.
How are you finding doing private general
Yeah.
practice? Is it interesting? Is it stimulating?
Oh, it is. I mean, I think the best thing for both my wife and I is the luxury of time. So for
Right.
one of my full sort of CVRM appointments, cardiovascular, kidney, metabolic assessment appointments. So it's essentially like a comprehensive sort of health screen. It's an hour an appointment. I have
Ooh,
access to all the investigations to do a full, thorough cardio metabolic check. From all aspects. Not just heart health, sleep health, weight management, and that's just been phenomenal to have that time just to talk to the patient expectations are. And then to signpost them appropriately to other colleagues regarding nutrition, regarding physical exercise, sleep health, mental health. So we've both loved that luxury of time. So I think that's the thing we've most enjoyed about it. I mean, the whole setting up was very laborious, as you can
I bet.
imagine. And there's a lot of ongoing other quite challenging administrative issues, and of course the financial issues of running a private practice. But I think overall, the benefits have outweighed those risks. And I suppose it's, again, it's not going to be the main part of our work. We always ever really wanted to do this part time. We don't have our own premises, for example. We just rent rooms out of a local podiatrist that we know,
Okay.
for a couple of days a week, well, a day a week. And to be honest, I don't see us really expanding further than that. That's working for us at the moment. There's enough to keep us busy, keep us interested. So yeah, again, a nice part of that portfolio.
So, Kevin, then with your really busy work life, then, and your private practice and your educational roles, what about then at the end of the week when you come to unwinding and relaxing and recharging? What activities do you find that really help along with that?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say I do unwind and recharge every weekend, but with 4 kids, all of school age at the moment, even the weekends are pretty hectic. And I can't complain. My kids have sing to gymnastics to hockey, and watching their, of course, their matches and supporting them. So that's been nice. But we love travel, actually. We're a well-traveled family. I don't golf, so a lot of my time I enjoy some cycling, and I'm fortunate to travel to many of these international conferences where they'll often tag on maybe a few days to do a bit more traveling and or a bit of cycling if I can. But as a family, we're not for a lot long back from a lovely family adventure in Belize, actually. And then I'm originally from Sri Lanka, so we go back there quite regularly. So a big part of my ongoing interest and keeping up to date in diabetes is not to get diabetes myself. So I'm trying to practice what I preach, as I said, and setting myself one big actor. Last couple of years, you'll be proud of me. I've done a couple of half marathons as well
Wow.
to keep fit. Because unfortunately the genes are stacked against me, not just my type 2 diabetes, my dad with type 2 diabetes, my extended family is rife with type 2 diabetes. So I think it's
Yeah.
probably a when, not an if for me. but I can stave it off by hopefully trying to maintain my weight and keeping fit.
Yeah, you've got to do it. Got to look after yourself. Well, Kevin, it's been really good talking to you. It's been really interesting, and all the best to you and Catherine.
Thanks.
And I hope I'll see you later in the year at some of the Pulse Lives or other conferences. And thanks for joining the NESGP podcast.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for the invitation to speak. Cheers.